podcast. This segment is going to be a side chat, a quick side chat with an expert in the industry, a fleet management expert in the industry, Mr. Jonathan Pake.
Thank you so much, Flo. You make me always sound so good and wonderful, but I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Award-winning
Yes.
national fleet manager, ambassador of supply chain professional fraternity, but a man really passionate really around fleet management. Jonathan, why?
The why really comes from a very deep place.
Yeah.
My father was a driver for over 40 years. So when I think about fleet management, it's more of a calling. It's something that is fundamental, not just for road freight industry in terms of the safety element of it. There's so much carnage on our roads. South Africa has one of the highest fatality rates in road crashes in the world. So it's incumbent upon fleet managers to make sure that we follow every procedure, every protocol, not just follow that procedure, but excel to keep people safe. And for me, I put myself in the position of a child waiting for his father to come back home. Many a time, me and my sister would be waiting for our father to come back home. And it is those safety protocols, it is that teaching, it is that making sure the vehicles are safe that ensures that people come back home safe to their loved ones.
Great. I'm like taken there. Hey, that's deep. It's a calling. On a more another serious note, Jonathan, small and medium enterprises cannot afford a personnel like you, with expertise like you have rather, and the set of competency, skill, and experience that you have in the industry. Florence out there has 7 trucks and she's looking to hire a fleet control or an operations person that can look after their fleet. What should Florence look out for? 3 things that are key for Florence.
So 3 things that will be key, I'm just thinking from a fleet management perspective. The first one is understanding total cost of ownership and as well as cents per kilometer. And
so the fleet manager must know that, the basics.
They must know that and understand that. Because a lot of times we think of complex, big systems, we think of routing and scheduling, supply chain management, optimization software, but the basics and the fundamentals are really important. What is the vehicle costing me in totality, inclusive of driver, inclusive of insurance cost, understanding the number one biggest cost driver in every fleet is fuel. What is my fuel consumption? So the understanding of the total cost of ownership as well as the cents per kilometer, or some people call it cost per kilometer, is fundamental. The second part of it is really understanding deeper in the realm of what is it that I do have. A lot of companies are forced to take tracking systems. One of the passion of mine is understanding, getting the world to understand there's a difference between tracking and telemetry. Telematics gives you insights, and whatever package you have, it is incumbent upon the entrepreneur to understand what package do I have and what data do I derive out of it. And the other part is, of course, the holistic data management. It does not have to be fancy Power BI or big systems, but understanding what does this data say to me? How do I interpret this data? What do I look out for? Is my driver driving harshly? Why is he doing that? Is my maintenance up to date? Is everything that talks to fleet management up to date? And the intimidation that a lot of times small and medium micro enterprises face is that, wow, these guys have screens on the walls, they've got graphs that look pretty. It means absolutely nothing if you don't understand what it means. So I could take opening, closing odometers. I know what is my traveled kilometers. What is my contract? What am I really paid for? If I understand all of those holistical functions, I can know this is where I can save and this is where I can export.
So there's really no shortcuts.
There's absolutely no shortcut.
And I think that's where a lot of people are cheating themselves, is to think that honalidi shortcuts.
No.
There are no shortcuts in making sure that you build a sustainable trucking transportation business. I know you at a personal level, and I know that you are very, very, very passionate about supply chain and supply chain professional, the supply chain profession, and also the fraternity. Why?
So
I understand the fleet managers because
Yes.
daddy was a driver,
yes.
but this one, why?
Well, supply chain management really got prominence now after COVID. But for me, is everything that is involved in supply chain management moves things forward. You think about inception in terms of raw material. How do we get the raw material? Everything is supply chain management if you really think about it. How do we get those raw material to become processed products? How do we get those processed products to go into the warehouse? How do we get it from the warehouse into last mile
But it's
delivery?
not a sexy profession, man. Let's be honest, that's what I'm saying. Why? Because it's not like kitoba accountant, kitoba, it's not like really. But anyway, yeah, continue.
No, and that's very true, Florence, because a lot of people have not been exposed to the different facets of supply chain management. A lot of people are not aware that procurement is a subset of supply chain management. You talk about everything lean. You talk about lean manufacturing. You talk about warehousing, distribution, e-commerce. That all is under the ambit of supply chain management. And for me, the love of it is not only do we move the economy forward, but another thing that we fundamentally do is that we get products to the people that are requiring it. In pharmaceutical supply chain management, there's so much, that has been done in the industry to get medicines to very rural areas, whether people are using drones or the like. So there is a personal benefit to the world if supply chains are done right. There's another element of ethical supply chain, where how do we procure whatever we wear? What are those labels?
We're ethical.
Yeah, very ethical. And that's another element of it.
Yeah.
A lot of even the latest procurement bill that is being published.
Yes.
What is it really trying to solve?
I was going to actually ask you about it, but continue. Just share your thoughts on it.
The solution, what is the ask? How do we ethically procure goods and services? How is that managed? In my own capacity, I have multiple suppliers that come to me. The corruption element comes in where there's envelopes. They might be brown or red or green.
but there's something like an envelope.
There's an envelope somehow that comes and manifests itself. How do you make sure that I'm procuring the right product for what I want to do? That speaks into business continuity. A lot of people don't look at it. And in terms of supply chain management, there's a customer centricity element that you have to fulfill. If, for instance, I want to deliver whatever product I want to deliver, do I know my on-time delivered in full? Do I understand the customer needs? That data that is derived from our these cards that we're given, and they capture everything and they say you'll win some points. But how do I understand every data set that comes into me to serve my customer better and therefore give me a competitive edge?
Define for me the difference between, because in road freight there's logistics, there's supply chain, there's transportation.
Yes.
Define them and also talk to how they're interconnected.
Oh, brilliant. So the overarching would be supply chain. Supply chain takes over everything. In terms of straight up logistics and transportation, a lot of people will think about the warehousing side and the distribution. You have distribution centers, you have Amazon, you have Takealot, you have all these companies that have mastered the element of how do I bring in my stock? Where do I store it? Because there's a strategic importance. How do I then distribute it? And, that is really logistics. The transportation, what type of truck am I using? What is the fuel that that truck is using? How do I change my tires? How do I maintain that logistics of moving from point A to B? That is really strictly logistics. It becomes supply chain management where now you understand the back end of it. When did we start? How do I procure services to keep my logistics network going? How do I then, from a supply chain perspective, I know I must go from point A to B. But how do I go? What do I do? There's a model, for instance, in supply chain management and logistics called TMS, Transport Management System. TMS is not a software.
The Tlhogonolo that watches this is going to be very excited.
He's going to, it's a free advert. You know, TMS is not a 3-letter acronym. It's not software. TMS in terms of where do I store it? How do I go? How do I optimally use the resources that I have to absolutely make sure my customer is happy? A case study I can tell you about when I was at Easy Access, one of the things that confused a lot of people is that we took an FMCG transport management solution that says, how do I optimize my routing and scheduling to actually make the customer happy? Easy Access versus our biggest competitor, they were 3 times bigger than us. And we said we want to keep the promise of time to our customer. Easy Access was initially derived from the building industry where you have a couple of guys standing. And what is Easy Access? If I have scaffolding, I have a machine that replaces scaffolding that has articulation. It means it can turn in the sky and I can build much more quicker. If I have people waiting for me to actually deliver that machine and I take forever, I'm losing revenue.
True.
But if I can say to you, customer, I will be there between 10 and 12 and I deliver on that, that trust gives me more revenue. It gives me more alignment with my customer. And then we said, how do we say optimize routing and scheduling? What does it really actually mean? So first part, maybe I take you a little bit in terms of that case study. The first part I said, I walked into Easy Access with Carl Thorington and we said, we have the wrong fleet configuration. I have X amount of machines. They all look different. They have different weight conversion, density conventions, spatial deck conversions. They are different.
What spatial deck?
How does it sit in the truck? You know, how does it sit? What type of truck do I need based on what I'm delivering?
And I think that is very important information for every transporter.
Yes.
What kind of truck do I need for what it is that I'm transporting?
Exactly.
Because other people first think about the truck.
Yes. Yes. They
what they're going to transport.
They think about the revenue. It's coming.
But anyway, you're going to just wrap up.
No, and you know, we started there. We had data. I designed. We standardized the fleet. We did 14-ton rollbacks and 30-ton low beds. It might not mean, but transporters out there, they will know exactly what I'm talking about. Because what was happening is my commodity in delivery is not a normal commodity. I am not going to load 3-way, 2-way chip pallet and deliver sugar to you. The machine is a commodity. So I needed to load these machines and go to Parktown. I have a problem. I have 5 customers in Parktown that ordered 340 AJ number 26. I deliver that. In the same area, I've got machines that have been off-hired or the customer has used them. Now they're standing. It's not productive for me. It's not generating revenue. I need to pick up those machines before they get damaged, bring them back to the yard, legislative compliance, make sure they are fit for purpose to be sent out again. So the space of the truck actually optimized our total supply chain. I could deliver machines in a larger scale. I could collect machines in a larger scale and make them rental ready. That's what we called it, because that was my commodity. In between that, there's software to measure turnaround time at each stop, software to measure driver performance, vehicle performance, supply chain efficiency, and what does it mean in terms of my bottom line in revenue. So that whole aspect, some people call it is TMS. If you want to do on steroids, then you implement what's called a supply chain control tower. You measure every single segment to do that.
People don't have But just in closing, because, you know, Jonathan is very passionate about this industry. He is very technical as well. We could be here for a whole day, him breaking down everything that any SME needs to understand around, whether it's a supply chain, logistics, and also transportation. You are now known to be an expert in this industry. You are now known to be a thought leader. So he speaks at various conferences, right? And you have also deliberately now saying, I'm going out to make sure that my voice is heard. And my solutions or my perceived solutions for the industry and what could happen, you know, I'm contributing now to the industry at large. Well done on that. It's a bold step and well done on that. What does that mean? And we're going to, you know, wrap it up here for the young Florence at university, what are you saying to that young Florence at university who wants to be you?
Yes.
Yes.
A big thing is it can be done. Transportation industry, by its very nature, has been lacking a lot in transformation. And because of that, it intimidates a lot of people to study supply chain management, logistics, transport, economics, and all of that. The reality is it can be done.
It can be done.
That kind of, if you look at me, it's a guy who the English airtime lasts for only a certain period of time during the day, but I'm still speaking at conferences.
Yeah.
So it can be done, and persistence and perseverance equate to success. And if you're persistent and you persevere and you have the initiative to actually learn, it can be done. The learning does not stop with the certification. The certification opens a door, and the real learning starts in applying what you learned in the certification to apply yourselves and actually grow. So it is absolutely incumbent on you. How badly do you want it? And if you really want it bad enough, the doors will open. Have network, talk to people, align to people. Join SAPEX if you want. Just a free plug. Join SAPEX if you
Very
want.
free plug. Yeah,
But
join
understand that
SAPEX.
industry and say to yourself, this is where I want to be. I'm going to learn. I'm going to take those opportunities, and it will definitely happen.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. It can be done. Thank you for availing yourself for this quick side chat. It's going to be a new feature where we bring experts that are not necessarily entrepreneurs in the space, but have really, really contributed by, you know, wide and large in the industry, and also work with SMEs. Thank you. And if you want to hear more from Jonathan, make sure that you register for the Road Freight SME Summit, because he's going to grace us as the master of ceremony. Any last word for you before we close?
No, thank you very much, Florence. I really appreciate you bringing me on. And yeah, I just want to inspire people to say, you know what? Everyone has a beginning. And if you start and you don't stop, you will get to your destination.
Consistency. Maintain that momentum and effort with consistency. Thank you very much. Ciao.
That's quick hijacking.